Hello, thanks for joining me, astrologer Patrick Arundell, for your in-depth horoscope forecast for week commencing the 12th of August for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. This week kicks off with Jupiter starting to go forwards after a 4-month backward journey. That's something we can all celebrate. Jupiter is about expansion, it's about travel, it's about philosophy, higher education, anything to do with overseas connections, but it's also to do with a kind of essential fairness. And over the last 4 months, if there have been parts of our existences which seem to have been bogged down and restrained in some way, I do feel that things can start to pick up. Now, Jupiter is supported superbly by Mercury, which moves on Monday into the sign of Leo. It's actually coming back into this sign after its retrograde, and by the middle of this week is fully out of shadow. And this is going to see us all feeling much more outward going, much more upbeat, and a little less introverted. Its rotation through the sign of Cancer does bring a more emotional and watery element to the logic that Mercury asks us to embrace. But it is true on Monday that Uranus, the planet of freedom and of rebelliousness, does go into a retrograde itself, which will last until the 10th of January next year. I think if you have been making some changes to the foundations of your world, especially those that are more innovative, it's possible that some experiments haven't worked, and the interim period will ask us to look at those things afresh and to perhaps settle down the things that have been going well and perhaps find other things that may complement the different and innovative approaches we have been trying. But this is a week when there is also a full moon, and this full moon occurs in the friendly democratic sign of Aquarius. But with the Sun and Venus still in a glorious alliance all through this week, I think really what the Aquarius full moon is asking us to do is just apply a little bit of detachment to the things that we do feel passionate about, or the relationships that are really engaging our thinking, or perhaps it's a romance or a creative strand. It's about balancing, toggling between what's good for us as individuals and what we need to do to connect with other people. So if we get too caught up in our own agendas, that won't necessarily be such a good thing. Now, Mars is going to be leaving the sign of Leo this week and making its way into the sign of Virgo, where it's going to be through to the 3rd of October. Now, Mars moving into Virgo is an interesting one because Mars is about I, and it's certainly been emphasising that in its transit over the last 6 weeks through Leo. In the sign of Virgo, it's more to do with virtuousness, and it's therefore more about what we can do for others, being of service, but also making sure that we use the extra energy it gives us in an industrious, practical and productive way. So if we can get fitter, if we can sort out our diets a little bit more, if we can organise our existence to the point that they're working really superbly well, then we'll be surfing the energy of Mars really very successfully. So Mars in this area is a much more productive, practical and busy influence, not quite so social. But that social factor that has been so powerful in the heavens in recent weeks is still very, very strong this week. It is just finding that balance. But I think the combination of the Sun and Venus is glorious, and Jupiter going forwards is something that we can all savour. Your specific forecast, Libra, sees your ruling planet Venus continuing to combine superbly with the Sun for the 3rd week on the trot. Also, Mercury, the planet of communication, revisits the sign of Leo, where the Sun and Venus are. And this is going to burnish your abilities to network and connect with others, socially or business-wise, to the very highest degree. But also, Jupiter, the planet of optimism, which has been tracking backwards for 4 weeks, well, that's really starting to get going again on Monday. And that's going to give you a lot more enthusiasm for even everyday interactions. It is true that Uranus, the planet of surprises, does slam on the brakes. And from now until the 10th of January, you may find yourself thinking carefully about business interests or where you're most deeply connected or committed, especially if you are compromising even a slender part of your freedom. But Thursday sees a full moon and also Mars leave Leo and move into a much more delicate location for you. The full moon is really about an opportunity to get a little bit more control over managing your time and your schedule. Quite a lot of people have wanted you of late, and that's been very nice indeed. In fact, there could be one friend who's showing a fantastic interest in you at the moment. But with Mars moving into your 12th solar house, he could stir up some psychological debris, especially if there have been some more painful episodes in your past emotional history. So as much as there is an opportunity to be bright, sociable, interact beautifully, I thought sincerity is really going to be the key word as this month and this week draw to a close. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Libra. If you'd like to know more about personal astrology based on your time, date and place of birth, please click the link beneath this video and visit my personal horoscope store. You can buy a character analysis and 12-month forecast for a 30% discount, or choose to have a live reading with me personally. But for now, good luck and goodbye.